Well, hi, she was home back with 41 years of Mills and Boon, and it was in a thing I got for Etsy a couple of months ago. It was my treat to myself. It was cut with a Mills and Boon kind of thing, and I thought I'd finally read it. And here we go. It's by Becky Wicks. Tempted by a hot shot dog. That's the title. Tempted by a hot shot dog. Okay, hot shot dog. It's supposed to be a medical, which I kind of got a dubious history with, but I liked aspects of this. Let me just read the blurb by Becky Wicks. Here we go. 3 weeks with a gorgeous TV dog. How long can she resist? Madeline Savio is thrilled to be writing sexy, infamous Ryan Tobias biography and to be accompanying him to the Amazon to film his TV show. She won't be tempted. She just suffered a breakup and Ryan's only interest is in saving lives. Perfect. But the passion sizzles even before they reach the rainforest. Is 3 weeks up close and personal enough to become forever? 3 weeks. Mills and Moon time, there's probably years. So it starts off in rainy London, of course rainy London. It rains in London, unlike today. It's not raining today in London. It's the hottest day of the year. So, but she meets him and she's just drenched and she's just all over the place. As you can imagine, drowned rat. Here you go. Alright, just a bit here. Just a bit here, okay. But Ryan's not. No, Ryan's in good nick. Here we go. Ryan Tobias was in his trademark medical extremes white coat and jacket. So white shirt and jacket. He was wearing a black waterproof coat and jeans. His hair, just as always on television, was wild and windswept, as though the breeze over London's River Thames had little respect for him, as the wind in a Patagonian hurricane. Madeline realised with horror that he must be taking in her rain-drenched hair and a small but noticeable coffee stain on her shirt. Woman splashed her latte on her on the tube. What must he be thinking? Yeah, so she's all over the place. It's been raining. She's a shirt stained. Don't make a good impression. And she is a writer who essentially has written not biographies, but she's written books set in like crime novels or thrillers set in like exotic locations, kind of thing. And she used to be a nurse, past tense. And her agent thinks she'd be perfect to write his biography. And here we go. So she's going to accompany him, join the Medical Extremes team, if you will, and gather information whilst he's working. Because this is the best time to do it whilst he's there, whilst the TV show is being filmed. There's a film crew there as well. Okay, right, that's the beginning of their relationship. But there is a mutual attraction. Mutual here. But here we go. Right, it's bit here, okay? Right. He's incredibly moody, that's what she'd read. Just rumours must be true at least. Ryan Tobias spent his whole life touching the lives of many in the world's most remote locations, but he himself was untouchable. And now Samantha was somehow asking her to accompany him on his next televised medical mission. She wondered whether her telling Samantha that she was now still had anything to do with this. She suddenly regretted telling her agent how Jason had decided to pursue his burgeoning relationship with a young zoologist called Adeline. How could he want an Adeline when there's a perfectly good Madeline? She said at the time, enraged. That's a clever play. I actually quite like that. Okay, so yeah, so her boyfriend dumped her for a zoologist named Adeline. I'd like to meet Adeline. We never do. Okay, it's kind of like us in the distance. So she accompanies on his mission to Brazil and the Amazon rainforest, and I will give Becky Wicks some respect here. Now, the fact is that I have never been to Brazil, the Amazon rainforest. For those who actually know me, I'm of Brazilian heritage, but kind of got lost in the melee. So I've never been there. Now, the way she writes, she actually can place me within it, which actually was a nice touch. Okay, I just bit here. Right. There was something about Rio de Janeiro, Madeline decided, that was quite enticing. The streets were alive by the sound of market stalls selling fruit, and tourists examined cheap patterned sarongs and vibrant paintings of ladies dancing under star-spangled skies. The smell of coconuts and sunscreen permeated the air, and she'd seen more function moves in space for 20 minutes, and she'd seen the 20 branches of her favourite high street store back in London. Interestingly, okay, we would not typically use the word store, we use the word shop. Okay, just saying again, it would be high street shop, not store. Okay, here you go. Madeline had been wandering around in the sunshine for a couple of hours, trying to get some last-minute bits and pieces before they're due to catch the plane to St Helena at 6 p.m. The rusty ocean in her ears as she strolled along the mosaic-ridden promenade coupled with the whoosh of rollerblades, was like a musical symphony. It was hard to believe that just 24 hours ago she'd been climbing out of a black cab in the awful London rain. Yeah, so I'd been realising getting a bit scared for the 5 to the Amazon. And so the thing is always this, she's there to gather information, get Ryan to sit down and talk about his experiences, his life, get to open up about his past. But he doesn't want to. It's kind of like, why is she really there? And the fact is, yeah, she's also a nurse, well, ex-nurse. It's going to come into play later. Okay, she's got the skill set. And the fact is that what I find interesting about Madeline is that she is independent, she's a solo traveller, she has seen massive parts of the world, she is a multi-linguist, and yet she kind of forms into this role as the nurse role, the stereotypical maternal role as well. She should be leading the charge, she should be in control, but she's not. She kind of becomes in this kind of world, kind of subjugated. Okay, alright. Here's Bahir, okay, here's Bahir. This is when she's trying to get information out of Ryan. Alright, Manny still felt weird about Ryan. He didn't seem as if he was in a relationship. There had been a moment just before she left him lingering in the doorway when he suddenly panicked he was going to kiss her. It was on her cheek this time. She moved away, not from his face, as she'd been dodging a baseball. It made her hot just remembering. But even though they'd been flirting a little over dinner, there was no way in hell she was about to become another one of his adoring female fans. I started looking at him the way the waitress had. Besides, she hadn't kissed anyone like Ryan Tobias ever. So, yeah. So, she take off to the Amazon just where, okay, this medical extreme show is going to be filmed. Kind of like to meet the locals and that kind of stuff. And, as I said before, it's interesting about the kind of, the way that the Amazon is described. It's tranquil, it's serene. It's actually quite beautiful. She was fascinated as they walked on red bridges stretching into the air from lush tree to tree at howling monkey height. She felt relatively safe there, but the jungle floor of the experienced guide. Here were an infinite ocean of green treetops, disguising what she saw were 1,000 death traps. She was having trouble stopping her stomach from knotting, and it hadn't even landed yet. So, this is when she's on the cop. This is when, okay, she's got her first view of the jungle, if you will, the rainforest. But, yeah, so she's there to kind of gather information. Okay, but the fact is there's a mystery woman in his past called Josephine, and who gets coming into play. Who is Josephine? Who's the mysterious Josephine? And the fact is, okay, she's there to kind of write about his life, but doesn't want to talk about it. And it's kind of like a warts and all thing, but the fact is that there could be something that could easily be left out of an autobiography, of a biography, with absolutely no problems. It's kind of like you're thinking that information is not essential to the plot when the only people know the truth about it, well, one isn't around anymore, and the other one just doesn't want to. So it's not even a mystery here about the mysterious Josephine. Apart from Ryan's guilt about the subject, I'm going to get to it. Okay? Right. It's Bahir, okay? This is about mysterious Josephine. Okay? I don't appreciate this hidden agenda. I know what you really want to ask me, Madeline, and I don't want to talk about it. Her insides were twisting more by the second at his anger and his words, thick and cold like ancient lava. She forced her face to stay neutral and mirrored his stance sitting on her haunches. I'm sorry, she said, but I'm writing a memoir, Ryan. At least to appreciate that your publishers are asking me questions about what happened that day, what you don't want anyone to know. They're asking you to call me out. They want you to prove that the perfect selfish hero you see on television isn't real. They want it from the horse's mouth, don't they? So the whole world can get a kick about how the mighty fall. Right. So, okay. Okay. Now, what's interesting, okay, is as I said before, Madeline, as well, she's not a nurse, but she starts start doing nursing while she's there in the rainforest, also to kind of teach the children, okay, about dental hygiene. This is actually a real thing. I actually Googled. This is actually a real thing that companies do. They go out into the rainforest to teach people better dental hygiene. Okay. But the fact is, okay, she starts to become the nurturer role, kind of like the stereotypical kind of nurse role. These children, she kind of takes them under her wing and she's teaching them how to brush their teeth and that kind of thing. But I don't know, it's just the whole kind of, with all her skill sets, she should be in charge. I mean, there's one scene in which she's two tranches and she freaks out. I would do myself. But it just kind of didn't feel on character for her character. Okay, I mean, the way that Madeline is, or described the kid as this feisty solo traveller who writes books set in exotic locations and just has adventures, wouldn't freak out over Tarantula, but she does, you see. Then everyone's kind of has to comfort her. This bit here. Right. This is from Ryan's point of view. He watched her step outside and saw the way she immediately became swarmed over by the kids. He was about to follow, but another patient was being brought inside, this time by Mark. Oh, another assistant. As it makes it past the street that served as a doorway fell down after him, he heard her tell him all to follow her to the shade. That much he understood in Spanish. Pretty good with the kids, Mark says, sitting a patient, a lady in the mid-20s down on the chair beside an empty bed. Who? Madeline, Ryan said nonchalantly, stripping the paper from the bed, shoving it in a plastic bag. Yes, of course, madam. She's out there or covering under the trees out there, like friggin' the May Poppins. Usually have run it around under our feet by now. And I was out to wear the stethoscopes. This is Spanish, too. And she was fluent in that as well as Portuguese. Finch said she lived in Colombia for a while. So, look at her skill set. Look at her absolute skill set. And then further on, there actually is a scene, okay, where they kind of have a moment in the water, okay, naked. Alright, just showing that. And but they get interrupted, fine. And also, okay, she also plays the guitar. Why isn't she the lead in this book? She's awesome. Multiple languages and nurse. And then, here you go. Here you go. Mind if I play? Madeline's voice broke into his buoyant thought. She was talking to Evan. Everyone's eyes were on her, so she dropped the hand behind in the shadow. Dropped his hands back into the shadows. Probably seen anyway, he realised, after today and through the fears she faced in surgery. He no doubt the producer would want to interview her about her backstory. And him, why Mr. Assistant that she help him, anything to make good TV. I don't know if you saw she a little shyly as she cast him a sidewise glance. Right. Her fingers are already moving over the frets, though, creating a melody. Ryan noticed Mark and Evan grinning at each other like schoolboys, clearly impressed. Maya had agreed to try improvising some songs for the kids, pretending to be able to play like this. There was so much she didn't know about this woman. Where did you learn to play? He said in her ear. Colombia. I learned a lot there. Then she launched into a song he immediately recognised. Moon River. Audrey Hepburn. Okay, fine. Oh, perhaps at Tiffany's. Yeah. Chills rang through his veins despite the humidity and the fire. He saw Maria's mouth full open. Someone else on the crew. Madeline could really sing. Her voice was like hot honey trickling over him, and he couldn't keep his eyes from her face. Why is she not in charge of this? She's a badass. Okay? But then her first thought is, oh, can I keep the guitar? Because tomorrow, okay, I can teach the kids good health hygiene by improvising some songs. See what I mean? It's actually very, very frustrating as she falls back into this role and that she needs to be rescued. Okay? In my head, she should be like Lara Croft. And she's not. Alright. But the problem is typically in books set in Colombia or Brazil, and there's always the criminal element that comes into it, which I find a little bit frustrating. Okay? And of course, in the Amazon, and of course they meet criminals. Of course. Here we go. It's just when again Madeline's kind of gone for a walk and finds a dead body, and here we go. Right. She pushed through a wall of vines and came to a small clearing with what looked like several paths of flashing grass leaned away from it from different directions. A sound of it, a male voice as she carried onwards, and when she turned a small corner, she saw them gathering in the ground, looking down at something on the leaf-strewn. In a leaf-strewn circle. Mary was about to call out when she froze in her tracks. It wasn't the crew. Her heart leapt straight into her windpipe as she took them in. A group of guys, maybe 7 or 8, olive-skinned and covered in black tattoos, some in black shirts, some in white, were studying what she was pretty certain was a dead body. They were speaking quickly amongst themselves loudly in Spanish and hadn't seen her. Dog runner, she thought, trafficking between Colombia and Brazil, no doubt, or planning to. She was paralyzed with fear. Couldn't be certain that's what they were, but she couldn't hang around to find out. Right. But the thing is, she runs away. She's not captured. She runs away. She gets herself knocked out, and then Ryan rescues her, and the drug runners just kind of uh, go, if you will. Okay, but end of the day, Ryan's there. Okay. Right, here you go. Madeline. Madeline, it's me. Look at me. This was when Ryan finds her. Of course, he finds her. He reached his hands to her face, hoping her cheeks would be as cold as those lifeless lady he just touched. With his utter relief, her eyelashes fluttered open a little. There's blood on the cheeks, trickling down her right cheek and onto his hands. She looked dazed. What happened? He asked, scooting him closer and expecting the damage. Can you talk? Are you in pain? Ryan, recognition flickered in her eyes before they flooded with tears. She reached out to him and wrapped her arms around his shoulders. See what I mean? Madeline gets rescued. Right. And also, one thing is this, okay, is, okay, so even though Madeline's got herself a little bit of an injury, this is the moment, okay? This is the moment. She's been rescued. Ryan has rescued her in the Amazon rainforest, okay? So, this is the moment. And this I found actually so ridiculous, okay? So, they're about to have some fun, okay? Right. Right. Her head was starting to hurt again where she'd fallen. But when Ryan reached for his bag again and unwrapped a contraceptive, Madeline was beyond caring about anything. She had a concussion, but about to have sex. Fine. You carried it? She asked in surprise, taking it from him. Not for me, he said in a low voice, resisting on his hands on either side of her. Sometimes the crew needs them too. Sometimes we give them to the teenagers. Of course you bloody would. Hold on, why would you be surprised, okay, that at this time a single man, it just met you, in that kind of environment wouldn't be carrying contraceptives? It seems like, why would you carry these? Because it's not stupid. And also, Madeline, why aren't you carrying these? Hold on, what about you? Take responsibility for your own health. You're a nurse. See what I mean? That's the thing. Very, very. So, but the thing is, skip on a bit. Ryan then gets hurt, and then Madeline essentially has to rescue him this time. So they rescue each other right back, and then he finally confesses whilst he's in hospital recovering what happened with Josephine. Right, right. Josephine who died. Josephine was in love with me, he said before he could think any further. Madeline was alright, but she didn't let go of his hand. I had a feeling she might have been, she whispered. But I didn't love her, Maddie, not in the same way. We were dating in secret. It was kind of spontaneous and fun, you know. We argued about it. The fact that I could never admit we were a couple. We always argued when she ran off, and that's why she ran off. She ran into the goddamn jungle, got herself lost, and we couldn't find her. And it took 4 days. She didn't mean for it to happen. She was too emotional, and she got lost. Ended up injuring herself, probably stumbling around in the maze of the jungle. By the time we found her, there'd been too much blood loss, and no one could save her. Yes. Right. There we go. But then, it's after just a couple of weeks. This is when, okay, this is Maddie who drops the bomb. Alright? I can imagine how awful it must have been for you, she said. She touched his nose to his. But it doesn't change the fact that I love you. He froze. Why couldn't he reply? Why couldn't he say anything? He cleared his throat, searching her eyes. His head was spinning. Maddie, He trailed off, letting the words hover in space between them like heavy waves, waiting for someone to catch them. And then the crew come in with balloons, so it's fine. It's kind of like, hold on, this is ridiculous, okay? You've just been injured, okay? You've been poisoned, okay? You've got venom in your system, and you drop that, okay? And then you find out, actually you find out early, okay, why Madeline actually quit medicine in the first place. It's because she had a little child she was taking care of, okay, called Toby, who died of a heart issue, and she cared for him, and she really cared about him deeply, and she couldn't save him. And after that, she kind of lost her zest for medicine, if you will, for caring for people. Now, I don't want to be nasty here, but in nursing, that's kind of what you sign up to. And that's kind of your job, as hard as it is. But the moment, okay, a child that you can't be saved slips away, that is not the moment, okay, you say, I'm done with nursing. Not when it actually is your vocation, as hard as it is. But the thing is, a couple of weeks later, Ryan appears where she works. Yeah, she's gone back into medicine. with an engagement ring, proposes, she says yes, and then it ends with the epilogue after the book is, well, the book is published, they're married, and Madeline's pregnant. Now, I like the concept of this book, okay? I liked Madeline as a character, but I don't like how she kind of dulled herself down, if you will. She kind of took on that maternalist role when she'd been a bit more feisty with all her experience, okay? She sounds so naive in times. I mean, asking someone, why do you carry contraceptives? Why don't you carry them, Madeline? That's the thing. The ending felt very, very rushed. It's kind of, I love you. He can't say anything because he's dealing with that, okay? And she just kind of walks out, and then he has to come back and say, no, no, I love you, will you marry me? No, let's get together and work on this. And at the end of it, essentially, okay, she has tamed a lone wolf, if you will. She has tamed a lone wolf, and now they're married and expecting a child. So so that's it. Instead of it ending with them together, okay, as a married couple, traveling the world, after the book's been published, traveling the world, having adventures, and working in remote locations, it being filmed on TV, and now that they're married, they're like a joint couple, a feisty, powerful couple in the world of medicine. We don't get that, and we should have got that. However, tempted by a hot shot doc by Becky Wicks, I like the descriptions, and I like the concept. So, yeah, not too bad. So sign off here, everyone. Take care. 14 years of Mills and Boon. Take care now.